2. So we're going to come down onto your side. I've got a couple of cushions with me here. You can, if you like, go ahead on both of your cushions. You can go one cushion between your ear and your shoulder. And if you feel like you need a little bit of bump support, you can just place a cushion or even a little folded up towel just to give you a little bit of support of that weight of the bump. I don't have a bump, so I'm going to move mine out of the way, and that way you can also see what I'm doing. So we're going to reach your arm up towards the ceiling. In fact, I'm just going to scooch back a sniff so that I'm in shot. Your arm is just going to be slightly forward of your shoulder, and we're just going to go for a little glide of that shoulder away from your socket. So it's like someone's just gently pulling on your hand, and we're just encouraging your shoulder blade to go for that nice little glide on your rib cage. So we're just going to do 2 more of these. And then we're going to hold that little glide, and we just go for a little turn in and out. So we want to think of having just a soft bend in your elbow rather than locking your joints. And you can take that movement into your hand a little bit if that's feeling okay. It can be quite nice to get a good stretch through those muscles around your forearm. Last one of those. And then we're just going to go for a little paint down and up. So we're going to allow your palm to turn down as your arm lowers, and then it will just automatically start to pivot in as your arm comes up before your shoulder. So we're just going to invite that ball joint of your shoulder to do a little sink as your arm floats up, and then rolling as it lowers. So we're just going to do 2 more of these. Lovely. Alrighty, let us find something to place underneath your leg just to give us a little bit of stability. So we want to think about those hips being square forward. If you have a roller, you can put your roller just underneath your knee. So we're going to reach your arm forward, think of opening that shoulder slightly, and then we're just going to slowly pivot yourself back just about 30 degrees, and then bringing yourself forward. So we're just inviting a little bit of thoracic rotation into your spine. So we're going to keep this movement quite small. And then we'll just do 1 more of these. So gliding that arm along the floor. And then we're just going to stay there and just repeat those little slides up and down. So again, see if you can encourage your shoulder blade to glide around the back of your rib cage rather than your shoulder blade to squeeze in towards your spine. So we're going to think about how we can keep that really nice and stable for us here. And then from there, just bringing yourselves back into the center, and just give that shoulder a little bit of a rock and roll. So I'm just going to move myself this away slightly so you can see my underneath leg. You can just have a little bit of a breather. So from here, we're just going to keep that top leg resting down onto your roller or your cushion. We're going to have a little push of that knee into whatever your leg is under, and just allow that underneath leg to float up. So if you like, you can imagine that you're balancing a little cup of tea on the inside of your foot. Your sit bone is going to do a little draw to the midline to allow that leg to lift. And we're going to keep drawing that top hip away from your armpit. You're welcome to bring your hand down to the floor here if you feel like you'd like a little more support or just a little more awareness through those obliques. Then we're going to hold that top leg up there, and we're going to go for a little flex and a little point. As you flex your heel, think about deepening that groove or that flexion in the front of your ankle. I'm going to do 4 more. So it's a good push away of that heel, helping to get a little traction going in that hip, making that leg feel a little longer. And then we hold that flex of your foot, and we send that leg slightly behind you, and then we come forward. exhaling back, inhaling forward. Thinking about that sit bone rolling in towards your midline as that leg goes into that little bit of extension. We're just doing 3 more of these. Pushing back through that heel. Last one. Lengthen that leg slightly further away from you and then glide that all the way back down. Pushing away from leg. We're going to bend those legs into a 90-degree angle. So we're going to glide your top hip away from your armpit. From here we're going to extend your top leg to the height of your hip. So I'd like you to imagine, if you will, that someone is literally pulling your leg. So they're going to give that leg a little pull, and we're going to think of just growing a little longer through your side waist. That leg is just going to stay at that same height as your hip. Let's just do that 2 more times, pulling long out of that hip. And then we're going to hold that leg there, bring your leg slightly behind you, and then we bend your knee, bring your leg forward and lower. So we're going into a little bicycle here, but we're keeping that leg behind you so that we're going to think about engaging those glutes that we need when we're chugging up the Wellington steps with car seat and various other paraphernalia. Just going to keep that leg in this angle so that we're not going to use the fronts of the hips more than we need to. And you can just let your bump hang out for a moment. So we're going to do 2 more here, pushing back, folding in, and then just in line with your hip. And then we go back the opposite way. So we extend, reach out. So this is a small and controlled movement. If we're doing this correctly, you may be starting to feel a little bit shaky through those glutes. 3 more here. And 2. And then last one. Bringing that leg back in line with that hip. And then from here we lift and we lower. So your leg is just lifting as far as we can go without having to shift your pelvis to lift your leg. So again, small and controlled. The heavier we can think about making your leg, the harder those glutes are going to have to work. We're doing 2 more of these. And then from here we lower that leg down to the floor and bring it back in line with your hip. We lower and then pull away to lift. So we're finding a little bit of engagement of those inner thighs as that heel taps down. We have 4 more there. Think about pulling that heel away from you so that leg is growing longer. And then we alternate, so we lift and we drop all the way down. Exhaling up and then inhale, lower in. 4 more here. Reaching away. 2 more. And then last one. Fold that leg back in and just give that glute a little bit of love. Alrighty, good news, we get to do all of that on your other side. So be really careful about bringing yourselves up, just so we're not going to get any sudden drops in blood pressure. And then bringing yourselves to your second side. So we're going to start with that nice little scaption exercise. So scaption being that kind of happy place of your shoulder blades on your ribcage. If you like, you can have that other cushion just resting underneath bump. And then we're going to reach that arm out to the side and just start with that little pull out and away. So like someone has grabbed hold of your wrist and they're just saying, come with me. Just flexing my feet so I can keep a bit more awareness going through the backs of my legs. And then from there we take that into that little rotation. If you're feeling any kind of cracks or clunks in your shoulder, we're just going to make this a little bit smaller. So that cracking, that clunking is just a sign that something's a little bit misaligned, and we just want to gently coax that back into alignment. And then we're painting that nice big arc up and overhead. You can experiment with wherever feels most comfortable for your legs. A good sort of starting point is to have your heels in line with your sit bones, because that helps us to find a neutral. However, you may find it more comfortable to bring your legs up or slightly further back, depending on how your hips feel on the floor. Just want to make sure we keep our little mouse hole. Grand. My arm is going to keep reaching to find my pillow, to place that underneath that top knee. So just that really nice modified rotation. A little stretch for our shoulder as well. So we're going to glide that arm forward like you're reaching for the remote. It's just beyond your grasp. And then just opening slightly behind your shoulder. And then we exhale to close. So your inhalation is going to facilitate that rotation, that turning of your spine. Your exhalation is going to encourage you to lengthen back. We're just going to do 2 more of those. Gliding out and away. That little slide of our hand is just encouraging your shoulder blade to widen across your ribcage. And then we hold in that nice little bit of rotation, and we just go for that little slide up and down. So we're using gravity as your weight here today. Good, we're just doing 2 more of these. And again, your head can be just wherever feels best for you. If it's more comfortable to have your eyes forward, keep them forward. And then rotating all the way forward. Just going to check that my hips are still square. Still got mouse hole underneath there. And then we lengthen to lift and lower. So we're pulling out through that heel. So your inner thighs are creating a spiral from the inside of your knee right up to the outside of your hip as we do this movement. We're doing 2 more of these, and then we hold your leg up and we point and we flex. Just realised you can't actually see my foot. I am pointing and flexing, I promise you. Flexing and then reaching away. 4 more here. And 3. 2 more. And then we hold that flex of that foot and we send that leg slightly behind you. And then bring it back in. Reaching back. Finding that little glide of your sit bone in towards your midline and slightly rounded in towards that thigh bone as we bring that leg back. Exhaling back. Inhaling forward. Last one. Lowering that leg all the way down. Moving cushion aside or wherever you wish to have your cushion. I'm going to bring those legs up to that 90-degree angle. So it's like you're sitting into a long back dining room chair. Someone's just tipped the world on its side. I'm going to bring that leg up in line with your hip. And then we just have that little lever back and in. So finding that hip extension. Our glutes are the main muscles involved in this movement. Hamstrings help a little here as well. So this is that push off that we need when we're climbing uphill, as one does a lot of here in Wellington. Or just walking anywhere, doesn't have to be on a hill. And then we have that little modified bicycle. So we bend, bring it in line with your hip, and then lengthen. Reaching back. So we want to create as much length through your side as we can here. So we're finding how the muscles in your legs and your hips actually work as a team with those muscles right along the side of your body. So we have 2 more of our back pedaling. And then we reverse. So we fold it, push out, and then come back. If your knees are making slightly interesting noises, as you might be able to hear mine are, you could just make this movement a little bit smaller. We're just doing 2 more of these. And then from there, starting with that leg at that hip height, we have that little lift and lower. So the ball joint of your hip is just tipping down and in to lift your leg, and out and up to lower. 4 more. Pull through your heel. 2 more here. And then from here we tap that foot down and reach along through that heel. Down and push away. We lower and reach long. We go 4. Scooping belly to spine. 3 more here. And 2. And now we alternate between those 2. So we lift and we tap down. So gravity is acting as our weight here. Pull out through that heel. Reaching long. Breathe with me, folks. We just have 4 more. Exhale away and inhale lower. 2 more here. Spectacular. Last one. Lower that leg down. And just give that glute a little bit of reprieve. Alright, so from here we're going to very carefully come into your 4-point kneeling position. So we're going to have your hands slightly forward of your shoulders. Your knees will be underneath your hips. And we're going to have a little tuck of our toes. So that just invites a little bit more of that connection into your glutes and into the backs of your legs. So from here on our inhale, we're going to push into the heels of our hands to find a little fold backwards. And then we pull forward. So we're going to think of pushing and pulling from the heels of your hands. And you may start to feel like that's actually encouraging a little bit more work through those muscles in your arms and your shoulders, as well as in those obliques. So we're doing 3 more of these. And then pushing into the heels of those hands. 2 more. Last one, we come into the center and we stay. We're going to inhale to let the crown of your head pull you forward. Lengthen through your tail, creating that nice long tractioning through your spine. And then exhale to scoop your belly, roll your tail under, and then peel into your cat shape. Inhaling, lifting your tailbone. Slowly articulating through your spine, seeing how much space you can create between those bones, and then exhaling to scoop your belly, roll your tail under, and then come into that nice rounded spine. Let's do this twice more. Inhaling, lifting your tail, peeling long and away, and then exhale to roll your tailbone under. Last one here, lifting your tailbone, creating as much of that beautiful gapping of your spine as we can. And then exhale, just come to balance into the center. Just bring yourselves back for a moment and just give your wrists a little bit of a release. If you like, you can just give them a little bit of a stretch, either on your legs or on the floor. Just going for that little pull back, wherever feels best for you here. And then we're going to come back into that 4-point kneeling. So from here, we're going to allow your elbows to start to fold in beside your rib cage. So we're thinking of pivoting your pelvis over your thigh bones, and then we push the floor away. So we're going for that nice fold. And then push into the heels of your hands to lengthen. So we're inviting work for our triceps. Exhale to fold, and then inhale to push the floor away. Even pressure through both hands. We're doing 3 more of these. Drawing those elbows down and back. 2 more. So on this next one, we're going to come down, have your elbows hovering just off the floor, transfer your weight slightly to your left hand, and we hover your right arm, and then we lower, and we hover left arm, and lower. We hover right, and lower, and left, and lower. We have 4 more, and 3, and 2. Last one, push all the way up and back, and then come back once more just to give those wrists that little bit of a moment. And we're going to come back into that 4-point kneeling one more time. So from here, we're going to extend one leg away from you and then pull back in. So we're thinking of keeping your toes tracking in that nice straight line. As that leg comes back in, we're thinking of softening in the fronts of the hips, zipping up through your belly slightly. Think of a little soft bend in your elbows. We're going to keep breathing into the backs of our ribs and encourage your tail to be long rather than tucking under here. That just allows those abs to work 3-dimensionally, keeping them in a nice balanced way. So from here, we're going to slide your right leg out, and we exhale to lift your hip and inhale to tap to the floor. Exhaling to lift and to lower. So this is your glutes, allowing that leg to move. Your lower back is just chilling out here. We're doing 4 more of these. Tapping that foot down, reaching out through that heel and tapping down. We have 2 more. And then on our last one, we hold that leg up there. We inhale. As we exhale, we extend your opposite arm, and then we add your arm with your leg, tapping down and up. If this is feeling like it's too intense, you can try going for a little pull in and then releasing. 3 more here, and 2. Last one, tap that down, come back and just give your wrists a little bit of a circle once more. Last thing on our hands and knees, I promise. Other side, bien sûr. So we stretch that leg away from you, and starting with that movement just from your hip. So you want to think of the crown of your head lengthening out in a way. Or if you like, you can imagine that you've got a couple of helium balloons on your ears that are pulling them up towards the ceiling. 3 more. And 2. And then we extend your opposite arm and we repeat. So we're moving from your glutes and from underneath your shoulder. 2 ball joints moving in sync here. 4 more. Your supporting sit bone will hug the midline slightly to keep us nice and square. And then last one, lower your leg, lower your foot, and bring yourselves back. Just give those wrists a little bit of a moment here. All right, so we're going to come into a little thigh stretch. So this is a nice dynamic stretch for the fronts of your legs. We're just going to come and hug a tree with our arms today. I'll stay side on so you can see what my lower body is doing. So from here, we're going to come into a little hinge and then push through your toes to come forward. So we're thinking of creating a little bit of length through your thighs. Depending on size of bump, you may want to modify the range of motion, just so we're going to make sure that we're not going to be pushing into your lower back. We're doing 3 more of these. And 2. And then from here, we're going to come back into that little hinge, press at the fronts of your hips to sit down, and then come forward and up. Little hinge back, and sit, and forward, and up. Just twice more, hinging back, releasing down, sit bones to thigh bones, and then lift, and then lucky last one. Nice work. All right, so come to a nice comfortable seated position. If it's more comfortable for you, you can do this sitting in your chair. I have struck my chair, so I'm just going to do this onto the floor. So we're just going to reach one arm forward, a little bit of a flex at that wrist. Your other hand is just going to come up and over that shoulder. And we're just going to think of drawing some little figures of 8 with your fingertips. So we just want to draw these little figures of 8 within the range of motion that you're not feeling anything underneath the side of that shoulder. So they may need to be quite small. And then we go back the other way. And you may notice that in one direction it's easier to keep that shoulder blade relatively still, and the other direction you need to keep that movement a little bit smaller. And then just relax that arm down beside you. If you like, you can just take a moment to close your eyes and compare how the two sides of your body are feeling, your arm, your shoulder, maybe through your waist and your ribs as well. And then we're just going to come and do that on the other side. So just finding that shoulder blade, a little bit of a flex of that wrist, and then just coming into that little figure of 8. And then leading back with the heel of that hand. Oh, look like in my shoulder. I'll make that a wee bit smaller, shall I? Last one. And then again, just relax that arm down. Take a moment to compare your shoulders. So from here, we're just going to reach back like you're going to give someone a big hug, and just go for a little flex of those wrists, and then a little extend. So just getting that nice floss through that nerve line. And then we can go one way, other way. Just one more on each side. And then relaxing those arms. Just give your shoulders a little bit of a stir, and that is us cooked. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.